Anyway, like, yeah, the topic for today is talking about hair types, all different types of hair. Let me just see if I can actually just bring up the actual, title of the topic, what we're going to discuss today. Yeah, the different types of hair on today's market and why we won't accept Indian temple hair. So I'm really going to go into a little bit of discussion about that later on. But first of all, what I really want to do is educate you on the different types of hair that are available in today's market. And I'm specifically going to be focusing on human hair, so not synthetic hair, because, you've got a distinction between synthetic hair and human hair. But I mainly deal with human hair, so I'm going to be talking about human hair. Um, and there's been a lot of discussion about the hair market itself because, as you can imagine, hair extensions are, people are wanting more and more hair extensions. People with hair loss is rising, and now we've got men using hair systems as well. So basically, the demand for hair is growing and growing. And I guess the question really is do we have enough hair to, to kind of like fulfill the demand for it? Because as you all know, if you're wearing hair extensions or you've got hair systems, they don't last forever. And you're probably changing your hair system at the very least every 6 months, and then usually like a year, and hair extensions probably every 4 months. So somebody needs to be growing their hair, somewhere to be able to provide the service for you. And then the other question is, what happens to the actual hair that you've used? Where does that all go? Does that all really truly go to be recycled, or does it end up in the bin? Does it end up in our sewers? Does it end up blocking our drains? Oh my gosh, don't get me started on all of this information and all this topic in terms of like what actually happens to your hair. Like, for me, it's a big topic because I am one where I just think that as an economy, there is a lot of waste. And sometimes the waste is because, we just don't know how to recycle stuff. And we just don't know how to recycle hair. We just don't know how to repurpose it for different things. And we're just thinking, oh, once it's used for hair extensions, then it's no longer good for hair extensions, then it's no longer good hair. And I kind of like beg to differ because I feel like anything that God's created is good for lots of things. So yeah, but that's another topic for another day. I thought I'll take a break. So I don't know what you guys think in relation to what I've just said. Put your comments in. It'll be great to hear what you've got to say and what you think about it. But I do feel like hair today is very different to hair, say, about 5, 6, 7, even 10 years ago when hair extensions and hair loss just started to become a thing, because there's a lot more hair in demand now. The price of hair was lower as well because, price follows demand. So if you've got like high demand and less supply, then the price is going to hike up, trying to kind of like almost get things back into equilibrium. But what we found is the prices are rising and people are still buying. So that's clearly not worked. But it means that people, some people are being priced out of the market because they can't afford to, number one, supply hair at the level of prices, or even on the other side, people can't afford to buy hair at that end of the scale. And then it comes to, well, if your hair is not costing you 400 and 500 pounds, then, is it actually hair? Is it good hair? And there is some argument as to, if you've got hair and it's costing like, at the time it gets to retail, it's costing £20, £30, £40, £50, and it's deemed as like Remy hair, and it's deemed as, virgin hair, then it is kind of questionable. However, it's not to say in my book that it's impossible. So if I just go down some of the different hair types that one might want to be looking at, and the very top one in terms of a hair type is virgin hair. Now, what does that mean? Now, virgin hair is it's kind of like a virgin in a way, in the sense that it's hair that's untouched. So if you've got hair that has not been processed, i.e. you've not tried to perm it, you've not put hair dye on it, you've not bleached it, it's in its natural state, and of the best condition is virgin hair. And sometimes virgin hair may not necessarily be of the best condition. It may just be that it's just not being touched by the elements, and i.e., like I said before, it's not gone through any color or dyes or bleaching or transformation from a curl perspective. So yeah, so the closest towards your natural hair, that's virgin hair, and the best virgin hair is hair that people haven't even used hair straighteners on. So if you can get hair where you're not even trying to curl your hair or straighten your hair and it's just flowing naturally, that's virgin hair. And virgin hair tends to go for the top money, for the top dogs, because yeah, it is the best form of someone's hair, and essentially, and if the person is healthy in themselves and they look after their body and they look after what goes into their body and they look after all those things, then it's going to show up in their hair as well, and they're going to have quite good hair, which means the value of their hair goes up. So ask the question, so many organizations say, oh, our hair is virgin hair, but can it be really? What portion of the population is actually doing stuff to their hair? It's very rare that you're going to find people not doing anything to their hair, especially in this day and age where people want to color their hair, people want to, curl their hair, people want to have different choices. And unless somebody is purposely growing their hair because they're trying to use it to get the best amount of money, I think it was, I think one of the celebrities did that, where she went, I think it was Rihanna, and she went somewhere and she purchased hair for a lot of money because that person, not only was it really long, so that's another thing. So the length is, and plays into what somebody's prepared to buy. So the hair I think she bought must have been about 22, 23, 24. You can Google it. It was really, really long hair, but it was also absolutely extra virgin hair. This person hadn't done anything with their hair other than grow it and looked after their body and looked after what went into their mouth and all kind of thing. So it was good hair. The next hair is Remy hair. Now, Remy hair can be virgin, but it can also be non-virgin, i.e. Remy hair literally means that all the cuticles are lying in the same direction. So it's generally hair that's been cut directly from the scalp. So a lot of people that donate their hair, it's Remy hair, that the hair is Remy in that sense, because they are cutting their hair from the scalp and they're putting it into both ponytails and then providing it to other people. Now, non-Remy hair is hair that is being cut, but then it's either hair that's being cut, but then the cuticles are not lying in the same direction, or basically hair that's been fallen to the ground. So you get a lot of Asian, like maybe Indian in that sense, that have got non-Remy hair because it's the hair that's fallen into the comb. And literally what then happens is that hair that then gets straightened out. And when it gets straightened out, then there's a special product that's put over it, which kind of protects it. So it means that you're not impacted by the fact that the cuticles are lying in different directions for a period of time. Sometimes with non-Remy hair, you get the cuticles taken off because that's the easiest thing to do, because it's very difficult to determine which way does it go up and which way does it go down, So sometimes, again, they will take the cuticles off because it's the cuticles sometimes that causes hair to tangle because they're all lying in different directions. So if you've got everything lying in the same direction, then there's less likelihood that the hair is going to tangle, unless, of course, the hair's not great hair in the first place. So, and when we talk about is hair good hair, I do believe that everything that comes from God is good in that sense. So if we're looking at, when we're talking about good hair or not so great hair, I think it's more about what hair needs more conditioning. Some hair needs a lot more conditioning than others because the nature of the hair is that it's dry. Some hair hasn't been, the person that was wearing the hair wasn't looking after their body, so therefore the level of nutrition that it needed to get wasn't great. So it doesn't necessarily, so I don't really like the word when people say good hair, bad hair. It's as if the hair's being got from God knows where, whereas actually it's all come from someone's head, and it's a miracle how hair grows. So I do think that we need to be very cautious when we're looking at what's good from what's bad in that sense. So that's so those two things. So you've got virgin hair, Remy hair, and you've got non-Remy hair. Now, Beyond that, you now start to have the different kind of origins. So you've got European hair, you've got Brazilian hair, you've got Asian hair, you've got Chinese hair, and this is based on the origin of the actual wearer. So if the wearer was Brazilian, then it's Brazilian hair. If the wearer was Chinese, then it's Chinese hair. If the wearer was Asian, then Asian Indian, then it's Indian hair. So that's why you get the connotations of the different hair. And the European hair is Europe, and Russian hair is hair specifically from Russia. Now, does it make one hair better than the other? They've all got different pluses and different, and downsides to them, because they were all created for different types of people. And therefore trying to use one hair in an environment that was created for a different environment can create problems and can create issues, especially if the hair is being sold as close as possible to its natural state. Now, what you want to know is that not all hair is sold in its natural state. And I think people believe in a myth where they feel that just because the hair looks silky, then that quote unquote, it's good hair. But that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes the hair is silky because it's got a silicone coating on it. It's been through Olaplex, it's been through keratin treatment, all these things which allow the hair to or preserve the hair for longer, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the origin of the hair was any better than another hair that wasn't these products were not put on. So I think there is a distinction, and I feel like hair extension companies now are more gearing towards the sides of putting a coating on their hair or doing a keratin on their hair, as opposed to actually just providing the hair as close as possible to its rawest state. And I'm not here to say that one is good from the other, but I do feel like people's understanding then of what is good hair, it can become flawed, because ultimately you may be saying, okay, this is good hair because it's really silky, but actually the origins may not be any better than hair that is not as silky. Certain countries prefer hair that's more shiny. So sometimes, you could have a hair that is naturally dull, but the actual manufacturers have put a shine on it because they know that when they're selling it to that particular country, they prefer the shine. So there's a lot of technology that's going into hair now that didn't need to go into hair previously, because our demands previously were not the same. We just wanted hair extensions. We weren't really thinking about all the things that we are thinking about now, because when you get choice, what do you want? You want more choice. So more choice comes into the market and you start wanting to do different things. So I think I always say that we have the ability to provide European hair, but we generally don't. Our hair is pretty much Asian hair at the minute. Now we are shifting, because there's a lot of debate about the hair that you get, and I've gone into a lot of research recently in relation to hair that we source, and this came off the back of a question that I got asked from a potential salon that's coming on board. Do we use temple hair? So when she asked that question, I was like, well, no, we don't use temple hair. Of course we don't use temple hair, because for me, it kind of like it goes outside of my ethical beliefs in relation to what kind of hair we should use. Temple hair is hair that's been used from a ritual perspective. So, people that cut their hair, they're shaving their hair because they believe or they want, or they're seeking something from their god, and basically they're donating their hair as part and parcel of it. It's a tradition that has been done for many, 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 many years. And, so that tradition in itself, although it's kind of like dying, hadn't stopped at the point of time when people were purchasing temple hair. Now, what then was happening through the back door is this hair is being sold. So in my mind, I'm like, well, if you've got a hair that's been used for ritual, and you are buying it, whether you're buying it directly or indirectly, you are partaking in that ritual, whether you know it or you like it or you don't. My belief is that is what is happening, because you are literally buying hair which has actually been given or donated to a god, for that purpose. Now, like, I'm a Christian. Everyone knows I'm a Christian, and I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe that, our hair has been given to us as a gift, and it's a gift from God to us. It is a crown. It is our crowning glory, and some people say so. It is a crown that we wear on our head, and God has gifted it to us. So I don't have a problem with people gifting their hair away, and because we do like accept donations for hair being given. And I also don't have a problem with people selling their hair, because we also buy people's hair in order to be able to create our solution. But when you go that step further and you're actually buying hair which has been used as a sacrifice, then for me that crosses a boundary for me. And the people that are actually then making a lot of the money is the people that are selling this hair, because they're selling the hair, and then they're also selling it on to you at huge profits and huge sums of money, stating that it's ethical, but actually it's not ethical. Ethical is knowing exactly where the source is, and knowing that that source is not tied to any kind of ritual in any form, shape, or manner. So I don't know if any of you at the moment are purchasing hair from companies that say that they purchase their hair from the temple. You may want to think about it as to whether you want to continue doing that. Not because I'm saying come and buy hair for myself, but what I'm saying is that it's really important for you to have an understanding as to where your hair comes from. Now, one other thing that I will say is that when it comes to understanding where your hair comes from, for us, it's like, we want to be able to identify exactly where our hair comes from. The person that has actually provided the hair, we would love to be able to do that. We want to be in a position to do that. And we are making steps in that direction. But what we definitely do know is that we would not directly go out and purchase temple hair. If we know that it's temple hair, we don't want it. If we know it's hair that's being used for ritual, we don't want it. So even if you're donating hair, if you're donating hair to us that has been purchased from a hair extension company that is using temple hair, we won't use it, because I just don't believe that it's ethical in that sense. So that's one thing. So that's the key reason as to why we do not use temple hair. Now, the other thing is that I believe that you can be forgiven if you don't know. Like, if you don't know that the hair is temple hair, or if you don't understand the dynamics behind temple hair, you can be forgiven in that sense. But when you do understand it, when you know how the whole thing works and how that whole industry works, and how now it's actually a money-making industry, and people, are almost being, cheated out of their dignity, I'd like to put it, in order for hair to be sold to companies which are then purchasing hair and then selling it on to you. When you now start to understand this, then you can no longer say you don't know. So for me, there's a lot of things that I can be quiet on, but there's some things that just really, I don't know, I'm quite passionate about. And I think this is one of the things that I'm quite passionate about. And as a company point of view, I'm changing the manner and the way in which we do business, because I also want to be transparent to you guys that are buying from me. And I also want to be in a situation where I know categorically what type of hair we are sourcing and where it's coming from, which is why, again, you can donate your hair to us if you wanted to, or if you want to sell your hair, you can sell your hair directly to us. And when you donate your hair, we will create systems that are discounted for people that are, financially challenged. And if you sell your hair, then obviously we will sell it on the open market at the value of the price of what a volumizer will cost, because we've actually purchased it directly from you. But I'd rather do that than have purchase hair from locations where I don't know where that hair is coming from. And it's like, for example, you may say to me, well, Clara, it doesn't really bother me, because at the end of the day, I'm not the one that's, number one, sacrificing the hair, and I'm not the one, too, that's actually buying it from the people that are sacrificing. So I can't see why I'm actually involved in the ritual. I can't see how that ritual pertains to me. It's going back to say, I don't know, if you were with a group of people that robbed a store, but you didn't actually rob it, would you be vindicated? You won't be vindicated because you're actually necessary to that robbery. So you will be punished in the same manner of the way. So if you know about something, then and you take part in that something, regardless of whether you physically touch it in one way, but as long as you have got an element of scope into that, then you're impacted. And it's like, how do we move away from that? And how do we make sure that we're not vulnerable in that sense? And I don't know about you. I don't necessarily want to be walking around with hair that's been used as a ritual. I really don't. Like, yeah, like, do you? Um, so I think it's really important that you do your homework. You do your homework when you're looking for companies and hair that's been provided by companies, whether it's for a hair system or whether it's for hair extensions. You want to be able to see whether, it's virgin hair. If people are charging a lot of money, check to see, are they charging the money because it's virgin hair or not? You want to make sure that, it's definitely Remy hair. If you want to know that you're actually spending a considerable amount of your hard-earned money on hair, you want to make sure that it's Remy hair. It doesn't necessarily need to be virgin hair because virgin hair is quite hard to get, but you definitely want to know that it's Remy hair, because if it's non-Remy hair, then the likelihood is not going to last that long. And if you are purchasing non-Remy hair, that's also fine, as long as you understand that really it shouldn't cost that much because it's not the best type of hair in the direction of all the processing that it's had to have. Now, a lot of hair is being processed. We process some of our hair, especially if it's going for curls and things. We are trying to get to a point where we don't necessarily have to process our hair, but it's hard to find hair that's the same level of curl as people want. The amount, the choices that are out there for curly hair, for instance, is not the same for straight hair. So that's one thing. And the choices that are out there for afro hair is absolutely non-existent. Now, we're working with a company at the moment sourcing actual afro hair, and when we're able to do that, that would be a great day, because it means actually the hair that you're wearing is not Brazilian hair that's been converted to afro hair. Is actually afro hair. And I feel like you will get like a different level of durability and a different level of feel when you are directly with afro hair, as opposed to the fact that we've had to process it into afro hair. You also want to make sure that if your hair is curly, understand whether it's a natural curl or whether it's a processed curl, because that does make a difference. A processed curl is likely to be a lot more drier than a natural curl, just because curly hair by default is drier, because it takes a lot longer for the oils, the natural hair oils, to reach the whole end of the shafts. And if you are now wearing hair that has been cut from the source, which it has been, then the onus is on you on making sure that the full shaft is moisturized. Why it's so important to always wet your hair if you've got curly hair, and make sure that you moisturize it. You cannot get away with just having curly hair and just thinking it's going to work for you. It's not going to work for you. It is going to be dry. So, and if you're not told this, and I feel this is kind of probably going to be another coffee and chat where I actually talk about some of the things that you need to be doing with your hair depending on the type of hair that you have. I can't cover it today, which is obviously, because of the timing that we have. I wish I could. I could talk about this all day long, but no, I can't. But yeah, so it's really important that you understand whether it has been chemically processed in whatever form, because sometimes majority of the hair, don't get it twisted, starts off dark. So when you've got a blonde hair, it's because it starts off dark and it has been bleached all the way up. It's only if you're getting, say, for example, donated hair, like we get sometimes donated hair and it's that color, it's blonde. That's true blonde hair. When it's only when you get that, but then that's that when we're looking at the masses in relation to the hair industry, that is few and far between, because majority of the people that are donating their hair have got dark hair. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, essentially. And also, the darker the hair, the stronger the hair tends to be because of the origin. So when you're looking at the origins as a final point, different origins have different types of hair. So the more you go into, say, European hair, what you'll find is that the hair is finer, but thicker. but it's finer. So you'll have really, so that when I mean finer, as in the diameter of each shaft of the hair is a lot thinner than, for example, if you're going to Asian hair. So Asian hair is a lot thicker. Brazilian hair is kind of in between. African hair is like, actually, true African hair is quite fine. But because we're not necessarily using African hair in order to make hair extensions, what you're finding is that we're generally using Asian hair, Indian hair, because it's stronger, that the hair shafts are thicker. So yeah, so depending on the type of hair that you're using will determine what the outcome is. And that's why when it comes to using European hair, you do see a difference with European hair than you would do if you're using Asian hair or if you were using Indian hair in that sense. Brazilian, I find, is a very good go-between. But the other option for European hair, which to my mind, a lot of European hair is actually being used, but it's actually being used as European hair, even though it's not European hair, is Vietnamese hair, because Vietnamese hair is actually, it's fine hair similar to European hair. So people can actually get away with thinking that that is European hair, even though it's not. Does it really matter whether it's European or not? I think what really matters is the transparency of people. Like, how transparent are you? Like, if you are truly transparent and letting people know it's Vietnamese hair, not European hair, I think I don't have a problem with that. But it's when people are saying, oh, wow, this is European hair, and actually it's not European hair. I feel that's when you start to become a little bit, well, not a little bit, actually, when you just become dishonest. And there's no need for dishonesty, because people will still understand and will still purchase the hair if they understood the reason as to why, Vietnamese hair is actually good hair for Europeans to have. And this is something that we're considering, shifting the hair that we have over from Asian hair to Vietnamese hair, because we're looking at, okay, what's our target market, what do they look like, and what kind of hair is going to benefit them. So it's kind of really understanding for yourself that every hair is not the same, and that is purposely done so, because God created us all and he created us all different. So we've all got different hair. So I feel, for me, it's not just about purchasing hair for hair's sake, not just like, it has to be Brazilian, or it has to be European, or it has to be that. I feel that's the wrong way of looking at it. It's almost more kind of, what do you want this product to do for you? How do you want it to serve you? Are you looking for longevity? Are you looking for a product that you want to be able to color as often as you want to? So the more you want to color the hair as often as you want to, the more you're going to be varying to the size of virgin hair. Now, if you put everything together, you're looking at, if you've got, say, for example, European hair that just so happens to be virgin hair, and by default it is also Remy hair, then you're at the top end of the scale. Because you're actually now looking for, and it's the top end of the scale, not because European hair necessarily is better than Asian hair, is European hair is more scarce. So the scarcity of European hair makes it more expensive. But then also European hair is better for certain hair types than other hair types. So you're weighing up the odds in that. I would always say, as in terms of, if you ask me, Clara, what hair should I go with? If you're new, for example, to hair systems and you're looking to purchase a hair system for the first time, I wouldn't go top of the range at this point, because you don't know whether you're going to like the hair system. And the hair that we have on the market, as long as you understand the hair that you're getting, you look at how long the hair is expected to last. And again, longevity does not necessarily mean that because it's lasting you 6 months, that is not good hair. It just means that because of the chemicals or lack of chemicals or whatever that's been put on this hair, this is a duration that it's likely to last. It still is good hair, because all hair, in my opinion, is good. It's just a matter of how does that hair need to be treated. Some hair needs to be treated differently to other hair, and you've got to have that understanding. And unfortunately, because all hair is put into one big pot, sometimes you don't know. So I always would say go overkill on conditioning when you get hair for the first time, and just condition, and get it to the point where it starts to respond to the conditioner. And then what you'll realize is that you probably don't need to condition it as much. But yeah, so you can't go wrong with using that kind of technique. So yeah, I feel I've spoken a lot. But I always like the coffee and chats to be a little bit like, I'm giving you information, and it's like kind of linking it to the kind of things that we do, but also taking it outside of the box as well, so that you've got a good firm foundation that you can then move that to the next level and take it wherever you want to take it to. So yeah, that has been today's topic, and I feel like more education is required, more understanding of the, if you're wearing hair extensions is definitely required. And I feel like moving down the line, understanding that, when we are wearing a hair system, it is a representation of something that has actually ultimately been given to us as a gift, as hair has been given to us as a gift. But because of the touch points that it goes through in order to process it to get it to the point where you need it to be at, then that's where the value, and that is where the exchange of money and how expensive, or how, or what you're actually paying for. So but by you understanding what you're paying for, then you'll know what product you're getting. It's when you don't understand what you're paying for that you then don't know what product you're getting. So, and what you want to avoid is paying over the odds for something just because, it's got a brand name attached to it. Because, yeah, like a hair extension is not necessarily like a car. Like a car, you want to show a car off, and you don't go, oh yeah, I'm Mercedes, or I'm BMW, and what have you, and or I'm a Mini, or what have you. But when it comes to hair extensions, nobody knows what you're wearing. Like, nobody can see it. Like, you can't say, hey, this is this, or this. It's because you don't want people to know that you're wearing extensions. You want it to just blend in with your own natural hair. So when it's all taken out of the packet and lined up side by side, sometimes you can't tell the difference. So it's knowing what is it you're going in for, what is the product that you want, making sure that it aligns up with what you think it is, and then, getting rid of this rhetoric that there's good hair and there's bad hair in that sense. And if you can avoid, like, making a situation which is not great even worse, i.e. the likes of temple hair and things like that, avoid doing things like that, because you don't have to, because there's so much more options out there for you to choose from. And hopefully, by you making a stance and not necessarily going in that direction, it will force some of these companies that are, in my mind, perpetuating or basically making the system even worse, because the more you're demanding for it, the more that they're going to be demanding for it, and then the more it becomes an issue, and the more people are forced to do things that actually, is just, in my mind, unethical. So and I feel like any company that is putting an ethical stamp on something that is unethical, you cannot change something that is unethical to ethical. You just cannot do it. If it's unethical, it's unethical all the way through. So rather than do that, you have got, even companies, you've got options on the market, go get your hair ethically, actually source it ethically from ethical means, as opposed to sourcing it from hair that's been used for rituals. Like, why would you need to? Yeah. I'm going to come off from there, because probably because I've just remembered I've got to air this on YouTube. It's like, I might edit some of this out, but anyway. That has been the speak for today. So that's been talk and chat and coffee, although I've got tea. Is it coffee chat? I don't know. What do I call it? It's coffee and chat. Yeah. I call it coffee and chat. So yeah, and it's been great to have you guys on board, and sharing your comments and stuff. And do honestly, if you've got somebody else that you think that this what I'm saying could help. This is going to be on YouTube. Obviously, I'm going to have an edited version out on YouTube. But yeah, by all means, send them to our YouTube channel, not Cloud Alexander. I think I might actually air it on Cloud Alexander TV, but they will generally be on the UltraStrands TV as well. So UltraStrands TV.tv, or just YouTube UltraStrands TV, and also it will be on my live channel, which is Cloud Alexander TV as well, because I like to share these sessions, like some of the things that I say, because I feel like people need to hear. So it's good, it's great. So I'm going to start waffling because we've just gone over the 30 minutes, and it shouldn't be longer than 30 minutes. I know some of you got to dash, but yeah, thank you so much for tuning in today's episode, and I hope it's blessed you. Take care. Bye.